Which leads me to the next question about the Anja protocol. So it was a protocol that was audited 6 times in Sherlock, and it also had a bug bounty program.
Six
and
times.
There is a claim from 26.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead with the. Yeah, go ahead with the intro.
Yeah. No, you know what? Just you explain the story of Anja instead of like me. You know the details better.
Yeah, I was sorry. I was just saying that Ajna was audited 6 times in total, 2 times by Sherlock. And it is a really interesting case. So we'll go into, I'll go into the full thing, but Ajna is a really cool protocol. It is kind of the first fully permissionless lending protocol. So I'm sure you're familiar with Aave and Compound and these other lending protocols, and they're great, but they require a lot of governance. And so that's why the Aave DAO, the Compound DAO, we've had all these different kind of situations and machinations in those different DAOs to set the liquidation threshold. I'm trying to think what the proper name is for it, but basically like you will, if you put in USDC, that's valued a lot more highly than if you put in like Shiba Inu into Aave, and your Shiba Inu will get liquidated when it drops in price a lot quicker, or maybe that's not right. Basically, your USDC is worth a lot more. You can borrow a lot more against your USDC than you can borrow against an altcoin.
So your loan to value, so it's basically loan to value, right? So your loan to value can be higher if you use like a more battle tested token like USDC rather than a meme coin.
Exactly. And setting those loan to value ratios is a super important and difficult piece that the Aave and Compound DAOs have to deal with all the time. They work with even external firms like Gauntlet to try to price those things properly and set the loan to values so that they're not so low that people can't get enough borrowed, but not so high that the liquidation risk, if a token drops, if Shiba Inu drops 50%, then you can't liquidate it at the price you need to. You liquidate it way lower, and that creates a massive amount of bad debt in those lending protocols, which is, really bad for every depositor. So anyways, Ajna is a permissionless version of that. So there is no need to have governance set different parameters. Right. No need for governance. So it's really cool. It's also very complex, and that's why they have taken a very robust approach to security. Let me go through their auditing approach this year. They started, I believe, in January with a Sherlock audit contest. Then they did a Trail of Bits audit. Then they did a QuantStamp audit. Then they did a Prototech Labs audit. Then they did a Code Arena audit. And then they did a Sherlock
for the same code base.
Same code base. There were a couple pieces left out of, I believe, Prototech Labs and QuantStamp. But for the same general code base, 6 audits over the course of 8 months or so, culminating in a final 6th Sherlock audit. And then they went to mainnet after they had done that whole process. And then within a month of being on mainnet, there was I would call it it was more of a high, not a critical, or, it was borderline critical, but it was something that was scary enough that Ajna said, okay, this is something that we don't want the protocol to exist forever with, because it's permissionless. You basically deploy the Ajna contracts and they're there forever. Governance can't change anything. You can't pause anything. That's the downside of permissionless contracts, is that once they're out there permanently. And so there was this, bug economic attack discovered about a month after they were live, and they had a bug bounty. Sherlock was sponsoring their bug bounty. It was submitted through the bug bounty program, and Sherlock ended up paying for, they had a deductible. So Sherlock ended up paying for a decent amount of the cost of that bug bounty, not the full thing because of the deductible. But anyways, you probably saw a lot of the notifications from Ajna saying, hey, please withdraw, please stop borrowing on the Ajna protocol, and please, get your money out over time. And so anyways, to finish the, timeline, Ajna told people to get out. They've been working on a new version of the Ajna protocol that fixes that bug. They are currently in a Sherlock audit. They're doing Certora form of verification. I think they're doing 2 more audits before they deploy this next version of the Ajna protocol.
Insane.
So, their credit to them for taking security extremely seriously. It is quite a complex protocol. And that's kind of why, 6 audits and there were still things that needed to be resolved. So yeah, I believe they're going to do 10 audits this year. And they're going to redeploy.
This is crazy.
Late this year. Yeah.
Wow, it just shows the importance of security, and that doesn't matter how many audits you're doing through different platforms, contests, top tier companies. Eventually, you still have like a bug on mainnet. It's insane. And how do they have so much money to pay for all those security reviews? Like, let's say 50, 100K per each. They really need to be funded. I'm sorry for all the DeFi protocols. Like, damn, it's like an expensive business, but what can we do?
Yeah.
And it's still, you get hacked. So you really need to be funded in order to be like a decent DeFi protocol, because security is expensive, and it's going to be more expensive if you don't do security.
Yeah. And I think for a lot of protocols, it's kind of like an iceberg, where the part that you see is what they pay for audits, and that's above the surface of the water. And the part that you don't see is this massive thing that they pay for bug bounties, and that's below the surface of the water. And that just means that, a lot of audit firms are actually not doing their job, not being effective, at least. A lot of audit firms are not being effective. And we talk to protocol teams that say, yeah, we got 2 audits with these 2 auditors. And then we immediately spent twice that amount in bug bounty payouts for 3 bug bounties afterwards. And that's not good. That's really bad. And Sherlock only has the data and feels the pain for the protocols that take coverage with us. We know about all of their bug bounties. And I think it's, the rate of bug bounties, I would like to believe, is significantly lower than the average protocol. But yeah, there's definitely high costs to putting a protocol on chain, especially a complex protocol. And I also think there's kind of an unspoken thing, which hopefully we can get out there a little bit more, of different auditors are pulling their weight more than others. Like, if you look, I think I might try to do an analysis of the Ajna auditors and just look at, okay, who was finding what? Did anybody miss anything? Because there were 6 audits in a row, basically. And there's some amount of data that you can probably get out of that in terms of, okay, this bug was found in the 4th audit, but it was also discoverable in the 2nd and 3rd audit. Maybe they made an update after the 1st audit, so it wasn't discoverable in the 1st audit, but it was discoverable in the 2nd and 3rd, because, we want to make sure that all auditors are kind of pulling their weight and being as effective as they possibly can.
Yeah, this is going to be very useful for protocols, so they can avoid, in the good part, like, bug bounty payment, but in the worst case scenario, it will be a real black hat hack, and this will be even worse.